So as leaders, especially in faith-based communities, we can a lot of times struggle with the ideologies and the belief systems of the former generation, even our parents. And I'm here today talking with AmyK Hutchens, who just wrote a great new book called The Secrets Leaders Keep. And it gets really real, and we're gonna talk about that in this video. Hey, what's up guys? Sean here with Think International, and we're doing this leadership series with AmyK Hutchens. How's it going?
Good, how about you?
I'm doing great.
Thanks for having
me. Yeah, I'd love to have you on, and I've been reading your new book, The Secrets Leaders Keep, and there's a particular chapter on there, I believe it's Kyle.
Yes.
And this book, it goes through stories which really illustrate takeaways and principles that can help leaders go to another level. But in that chapter, he's a pastor, and his father was a pastor.
Correct.
And the chapter was just hitting me hard because it really went through where his father and his father's church had a certain message and a certain, both were, and as we get into belief systems, both were, it's not like one's necessarily right or wrong, but different.
Yes.
Or maybe one goes different in different directions. And I know leaders that are watching, church leaders especially, they struggle with that. The belief systems of the former generation, the way that the Bible's interpreted, the way that it's taught, and that when you maybe divert from that, you could be looked down upon by your parents and by relatives or by a denomination. What was that story, and what are some of the tips with dealing with that?
So many great stories in the Bible. We'll start with doubting Thomas. We need to doubt. We need to question. We need to have a conviction in our faith that it's our own and it's personal. It wasn't just handed to us from a mom or a dad or a grandmother or a caregiver, but that we choose to believe what we want to believe. And what I talk about with Kyle is that you have to leave the hood, that you have to get beyond what people told you, you have to get beyond other people's expectations, and you have to go out and you have to form your own identity. So we talk about, are you really dissing your mom and dad? No, but you are growing up. You are having to figure it out. And part of that journey is that people want to limit your potential.
Yeah.
They'll say, well, Sean, what gives you the right to be in this leadership role? You were the one that, goofed around when you were a kid, or you were the one that got into trouble. And we can't let our childhood and our initial neighborhood define who we're going to be for the rest of our lives.
That's so good. And you talk about leaving the hood. Would you agree with this, that there are probably leaders right now that are not living up to their potential, specifically because they're trying to fit in clothes that don't fit?
Oh, absolutely.
Belief systems that don't fit.
Oh, absolutely. And every time that we try to change, those that knew us in our former identity are uncomfortable with that because they want us to stay in that box, because that box also allows them to stay in their box. So when we change the dynamic. It's no different than if somebody in a family starts to lose weight, and then all the other unhealthy diet habits of everybody else start to get challenged, or they start to feel judged.
Yeah.
So there's a ripple effect when we go to live out our potential, and you still have to do it. You have to honor who you are.
Awesome. Now, one of the things that you say, and we were just at an event together, and you were also teaching there, and for faith-based leaders, this is a challenging statement.
Okay.
You said that it's actually good to question and doubt your belief system.
It is.
And for faith-based leaders, that sends off like a red alert at times. But I've even seen that in my own life, and I'd love some tips. You're not saying that you should try to abandon truth.
No.
But you need to trace the origins of some of your belief systems that they might not be biblical, and we struggle with that. So what do you say to leaders to reverse engineer and question their belief system?
I'm talking about question the perspective. Question what your truth really is, and if your story's accurate. There's a lot of beliefs that run around in our head that aren't about core truth. They're about our skewed perspective. And I joke, if you've got siblings, you'll get together around the holidays, you'll start to reminisce, and you'll look at each other and you'll be like, were we even in the same room together? Like, did this even go down the way we thought it did? But that means that we have our story. Sometimes our stories are negative. Sometimes they don't help us. And so what I'm really saying is that we need to challenge our stories. When we can challenge our belief systems, when we can challenge our stories and get to the truth that we believe, we're going to have a stronger conviction for it. But it also needs to be positive. It needs to help us move forward. And so what I tell leaders is that those painful thoughts, those limiting beliefs, they need to be challenged so that we can go out and actually be our best selves.
I love that. So definitely check out the book, The Secrets That Leaders Keep. Even just that chapter is hugely profound as just a leader in the faith community myself. And we'll put links in the YouTube description below. We did a full-length interview about this, about the book. We went into some of the other tips and principles. But I just really feel like, specifically, as we just kind of close, it's just so important. How awesome would it be to just see leaders become fully themselves,
yes,
and not be living, as inauthentic?
Well, we need a culture that has far more trust. And what's unfortunate is the way that people define trust as consistency in behaviors. That's a very shallow definition.
Yeah.
What builds trust is vulnerability. And if leaders have a safe place where they can go and realize they're not alone, that they do have fears and they do have foibles, and these secrets, they're not so secret.
Yeah.
Everybody's got them.
Yeah.
And when we talk about them, we can actually work through them and become much more powerful and much more positively effective.
I love it. Well, AmyK, thanks so much for being on. Super excited about this, and definitely check her out, check out the book, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks.